Welcome to Access Spotlight. I'm Travis Youssef. I have the pleasure today of sitting down with Daniel Norber. Daniel is a Republican resident who is running to be the next U.S. representative of New York's 3rd Congressional District. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so nice to have you today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so let's just get right in.
Sure.
So website states you were born in the U.S., but raised in Israel, and moved to New York City about 23 years ago. Talk to me a little bit about your experience in growing up.
Well, I was born in Los Angeles. My parents are immigrants from Israel who moved in the 70s. Back then, they were looking for more talent, computer engineer talent. And my father was working in Israel at the time in Motorola. So he was recruited by Hewlett-Packard to work in Los Angeles.
Great.
So they wanted him to work there for a few years, and they ended up giving him a green card. And then my sister, me, and then my brother were all born in LA. We had a wonderful childhood in Los Angeles. It was great to live in the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, awesome.
But at some point, my parents felt that they wanted us to be a little bit more connected to our Jewish and our Israeli roots, which was, I think, was important also at the time.
Absolutely.
I was 9 years old. So we moved to Israel, to a place called Ra'anana, northern Tel Aviv, suburbs. It was great living in Israel. You're very independent there compared to California as a kid growing up. I loved it a lot. Didn't see myself as anything else but being Israeli at the time. So all my cousins and all my friends were getting recruited when at the age of 17, 18. So I got recruited when I was 17 to the military police forces, the Israeli Defense Forces. Served in prison barracks, guarding prisoners of the army who were court-martialed for various offenses such as smuggling weapons, selling weapons, drugs, things like that. But I served for 3 years. I ended up being a staff sergeant.
Great.
Honorably discharged. I thought maybe to be an officer at some point, but I just saw myself maybe moving to New York.
Wasn't your route?
It wasn't my route. I wanted to get into business. Also, I fell in love with movies, seeing New York growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
Reading books. I just felt like I should go to the East Coast rather than the West Coast.
Sure.
Came to New York a couple months before 9/11, the summer of 2000. Immediately wanted to get to work. Wanted to really to see what the city has to offer me.
Yep.
I worked in Staples. I worked in random jobs, blue-collar jobs, such as being a busboy, department stores, things like that. It was good. And at some point, I ended up finding myself in a moving business. And I saw quickly that moving is interesting. There's a lot of potential there. Also, internet was starting to be influential, Google specifically.
Sure.
This was back in 2003. And I started studying a little bit online about how to understand more Google and internet and how that could help me in a business that I would like to open, in a moving business. So I ended up buying a truck. And then online you would see Moishes and the big dogs and all these big, huge companies, and then Imperial. And nobody would be able to tell the difference between a serious company for 30, 40 years and this guy that just opened this week.
Sure.
So it was very good. And I ended up owning 40 moving trucks.
Wonderful.
And worked a lot of jobs in the city. Throughout the years, I saw a lot of people moving out, moving in from the city. I would see an exodus sometimes from New York when things would get good, when the economy was bad in 2008. And so you could really see how the people are affected moving-wise in terms of what's going on in towns and the cities. And I just started getting more interested in politics, seeing that, witnessing what's going on. Ended up getting married, a high school sweetheart from Israel, 4 children.
Great.
Started investing more in real estate, and real estate behind the moving business. Ended up owning warehouses in New Jersey, which was very good. Got a degree in government.
Great.
Just thought maybe, you never know, maybe one day I'm going to fulfill a dream of getting into politics, or in some way, specifically Republican politics, which was I felt connected to.
Okay.
And here we are today.
Here we are.
Here we are today.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like truly an American dream.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Really kind of starting from the bottom and working your way up. Talk to me a little bit about your experience with both the military and being an entrepreneur, essentially, and how that's going to help you with this race.
Of course. So in the military, you really learn yourself, who you are as a person. I mean, you come out of high school, and you study or you don't study or you have good relationships or whatnot. But then in the Army, when you're in the Army, you really understand who you are, your potential. where it lies, who you want to be. You understand leadership skills. You identify with certain captains that you have or majors or people in charge of you, and you want to learn from them. So I mean, that's why I think that it really propelled me to get into business right after. I knew that, okay, I did well in the Army. I ended up managing like 60 different prisoners. Couldn't be worse than that. And then all of a sudden you want to really be better, be who you are supposed to be in a way. I don't want to say be all you could be like in the Army, but it is really like that.
Yeah.
And then you get into business, and then business also does well because you actually, I actually applied the skills I learned in the Army to my business. And also as a candidate now. So I really take all these experiences with me from the Army, from the business. And you learn to fight, and you learn to fight for yourself, but now you want to at some point fight for your people.
Definitely.
You want to fight for your community.
Yeah.
You want to fight for the children, your children's future.
Yep.
I got a lot from New York. I really fulfilled the American dream.
Yeah. And now you're currently residing in Great Neck.
Yes, exactly.
Correct. So are you the first one in your family to get into politics?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of, why now?
I saw what's happening in New York the past 10 years. You would say since 2010, 11, I see the exodus occurring in New York, like I mentioned before. People are fleeing to Florida, fleeing to Texas, fleeing to California, fleeing to other places they don't want to be in New York.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I mean, this is This is a city we all love.
Yep.
This is a city that I fell in love with. I knew I was in love with before I even came here.
Sure.
I want to maintain this city the way it was. I want to keep the city that was protected. I want to defend the city. I mean, you see policies coming down from Albany and from Washington, D.C., which are hurting the city. I mean, you could agree or disagree on policies, but at the end of the day, you see the results on the climate. You see if people want to stay here or people don't want to stay here.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this. I'm moving them. So they don't want to stay here because the taxes are too high, the crime is too rampant, and the prices, and people can't see themselves to continue to live here. So, and the quality of life.
Yeah.
So I think that much more needs to be done, can be done. We do have the tools. We just need to vote for the candidates who are willing to do what it takes to protect the city. And my children will be my age. I want them to also fulfill the American dream as much as they can. And the American dream starts in New York.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, Daniel. And I mean, and especially when it comes to the community itself, talk to me a little bit about your work with the vets, your work with women in the community. Right.
In the moving business, we deal a lot with people who are in different situations in their lives. Some are up, some are down. So sometimes we're dealing a lot with the local communities in terms of Samaritan Village, or when there's different types of communities. I don't remember all of them right now. But we are helping them as much as we can to actually get back on their feet. And so we do what we can to connect with different organizations all the time to be a part of that. Yeah. And that's also where I saw myself in the beginning. Before I decided to get into politics, I just decided, okay, I want to help the community any way I can. Sometimes you don't know how to start, and that's where I started in the beginning.
What I really love about your website is the fact that you put people first.
Right.
That's kind of the motto that I saw there. Talk to me how you do that.
People, I mean, I understand my employees. I understand my employers, my customers. I understand the government. So I just understand that people are in different situations, like I said before, in their lives, and you want to give people the tools and the knowledge of making the right decisions for themselves.
For sure.
So you want to make sure that people are doing what they need to do, or have the tools that they need to have in order to do the right things, or how to get a job. Let's say, let's say in the moving business, I have people who don't have a lot of money, so I just offer them or done a lot of skills. So sometimes I would like to offer them jobs, simpler jobs, because in my business you have either salespeople, you have managers, you have dispatchers, you have operations managers, and you have movers. And I just do, so I just try to, people, according to the potential, according to what they want, offer them opportunities.
Yeah.
It's all about giving them opportunities. Yeah. So I've always been doing that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's beautiful too, because, your family was given an opportunity.
Right.
So you're just kind of giving back.
Exactly.
Which, why else are we here but to help one another?
Exactly.
Talk to us a little bit about like your top priorities, Daniel. I know that you have a few on your website.
Right, of course.
But really highlight the ones that are most important to you.
Well, right now, crime, I think, is most important. That's the first on my list. Also, illegal immigration and rebuilding the economy. But I would say first and foremost is crime right now, because we see police officers in the city and the state and country in general who are getting attacked from left and right.
Yeah.
And they are not being given the dignity and the respect that they deserve to do the job that's most important for us, for a community and for a society to thrive. Mm-hmm. So we're not allowing them, we're just not giving them the support that we need. So I would believe that what we need to do is get more federal funding to the local communities to just transfer the money to the police who need it so they could do their jobs. Because right now you see about 2,500 police officers who want to resign before their pensions are up, just because they're working so hard and working so much overtime, because in the beginning of it, there's not enough police officers who want to do the job.
Sure.
Because they deserve our honor. They deserve our respect, and they are not getting it. So we need to go back to really defending the police and really giving them everything that they need, all the backing that they need, because as a military police officer, I understand what they're going through.
Sure.
I really do.
Yeah.
Second thing also, I think, is illegal immigration. I think that, again, going back to the police thing, we're spending a lot of money on illegal immigrants, which could be also going to police, to veterans who need them, and to our education system that should be receiving these things. So it's important that we receive asylum seekers. We're a country with a huge heart, and we should continue to be that way. As a grandchild of Holocaust survivors, I understand that, and I really respect that. I think we should continue, but there needs to be a little bit more enforcement on the border, a little bit of secure borders, more judges. Yep. Mexico should be a remain-into country like it was before. There's many things that we could be doing a little bit better with a little bit more responsibility.
For sure.
And the third thing that I was talking about is rebuilding the economy. As a business owner, I would never be able to run my business in a deficit of $1.4 trillion a year. So no business should do it. No government should do it. And I understand that there's so many things that we could be doing to lower our expenses and go under the deficit and control that. There's $100 billion in Medicare and Medicaid fraud, which is occurring every day, all the time. And these are things, simple things, that we just should go back to. We have the tools, we have the knowledge. We should just have the people, the vote, the candidates, the elected officials who will do what it takes to make sure that we do take responsibility for our economy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How many of those do you really hope to achieve then, once you get in?
These three things?
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah. All of them. No, I'm a fighter. Sure. I fought in the Army. I fought everything I could for my businesses, with the banks to get loans, everything I fight. Yeah. I'll fight for this. I'll fight for the country. I'll fight for the community. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is the most important thing. This is what I'm getting elected for. This is what I want to do. I understand the other side of the aisle. I could understand. I think that's the only way to do it. We have to be able to speak to Democrats, speak to it in order, because they know what needs to be done. They see it also. They cannot ignore the quality of life that people are suffering, no matter who it is. If it's asylum seekers, it's illegal immigrants, it's our communities, it's our neighbors, it's our children. Yeah. And so we just need to talk to them and just have a really serious conversation.
No, for sure. Especially over the last couple of years, kind of politics is a little bit of a thankless job. Yeah. Why is it that you want to get into it?
Because I believe that politics works when you have the right people. You see the difference. You see what happens when you elect specific types of people without values or with values or different types of values, and you see people who care about the country. And during hard times, you vote. You get the best people get elected, I believe. And right now, I think we're suffering some hard times. Things are different. Yeah. Look at what's happening in terms of anti-Semitism and the climate in the world and the country. I mean, this is something that I've never believed I would ever see in my lifetime. Yeah. Sadly. I believe this is the right time for me to get into politics. For sure. I believe it's the right time to vote for the best candidates that are out there. And there are great candidates out there. We just need to really vote with our consciousness and then just do the right thing.
Yeah. How do you hope to gain the confidence back from people who are kind of just fed up with government? They're just like, well, whatever, I'm just kind of done. Yeah.
I believe that if people meet me face to face, I believe that they will understand that there are sometimes, and I'll relay the message I just said right now, that there are people that are good, and the people that are caring, and the people that want to do what's best for our children's future. I love New York, and I love this district, and I love Great Neck, and I just want to do whatever, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that.
Yeah.
And I believe that I will be able to convey a message to those people, to these voters, that we should do what's right and vote for the right candidates, whoever they will be.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, as far as like term limits, do you believe that there should be term limits?
I need to study up a little bit more on that.
Sure.
Okay. I believe I need to do a little bit more homework on those issues. That's a specific issue that I haven't really set my agenda on.
Sure. Yeah. No,
but I think it's a little bit early. When I get into when I become the congressman of the district, I will definitely look at that, what's best. But it's a little bit early for me to say.
Yeah. No, of course. Now, what about like campaign monies and whatnot? I feel like there should be a cap on them, but some don't.
I guess need a little bit more homework on some issues, specifically that one.
No, that's fine.
Also, but campaign term limits and fundraising, I'm still learning. I've been doing this for 4 months, so it's hard for me to compare that to anybody else.
Yeah, no, that's fine. What would you say drives you?
Children, my children. I have 4 children, girl, boy, and I know. I saw the way I was raised and what kind of climate in the 80s and the 90s and the presidents that we have and the politicians we have, and I always focus on watching it. But my children, I want them to have a future that they can benefit from.
Sure.
And I believe that it's very dependent on, because I see very quickly how things could deteriorate. I see that in Israel.
Yeah.
And one morning you wake up and it's not the same country anymore. And I don't want that to happen in the United States. And we have to all realize that this is something that could happen anywhere.
Yeah.
So this is what drives me every morning. Now that my businesses are running and everything is fine in terms of that, I'm very young. I could spend the rest of my life driven by this agenda of just making sure my children or my grandchildren have a country and an American dream. Because this is the most. If there's no New York, there's no America. If there's no America, there's no world.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. When it comes to, what would you say would be one of your greatest accomplishments so far?
My wife and my children.
Yeah.
Definitely, my wife is the love of my life, and my children are the love of my life, and there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's why I invest in properties. I invest in real estate, but I want to invest in my children, and the best way I can is just to give them a city, give them a town, give them a country.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
As far as with the community, do you think that you'll be able to kind of branch out and be able to bring people from both sides?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that. Yeah. I know that for sure. When I speak to people on the other side of the aisle, Democrats, I have a good conversation with them because they can't ignore the issues. They can't. Sure. We all care about the country.
Yes.
We just have a different ways and priorities of the way they see us doing it. When I speak specifically with the other people on the other side of the aisle, they relate to me. I know I'm going to be good at it. I know I am already good at it. And I know that I could get people to vote with me because you can't ignore what I'm saying. You can't say, there is no problem with crime. There's no problem with immigration. They all admit it. Question is, what will they do with it?
Sure.
So that's why it's very important that everybody goes out to vote, because when everybody goes out to vote, I believe Republicans win. That's the thing. Because and we have to also bring back our confidence in the electoral system.
Yeah.
So because I believe in voting works. So if it's friends of mine, family, or acquaintances, I tell them vote, vote, vote. No matter who you vote for, just vote.
Yeah. Getting back into a little bit more of your priorities and whatnot. Talk to me about like the education and like the seniors and how you hope to help them.
Well, right now there's not enough funding right now for the veterans and for education, like I said before. We need to rebuild the economy and spend the money on the right places. The most important thing is our veterans.
Totally.
I mean, we have to, a country, people that doesn't support their elderly won't support any. I mean, there's no value there.
Yeah.
We have to help people who can't help themselves at a certain age. And I believe that that's the most important thing that we need to be focused on right now is the veterans, of course, and the elderly.
Yep.
I mean, they gave us so much. We have to always give back, and this should be our top priority. In terms of education, I think they're the same issue. We have to spend money on the right things. We cannot be spending it on anything else except on our children's education, because that's the future. And if they are not studying or don't have the tools to study, some of them don't even have the tools or don't have the knowledge or don't have the attitude to study.
Sure.
That's something that we need to be focusing again on in our communities.
Yeah, no, definitely. As far as, when it does come to, what is it about especially for Great Neck, that drew you there?
Well, my wife is Israeli. I'm also Israeli in a way. So we wanted to be close to our synagogue, close to our Jewish community. I've always known people that moved there from Israel, actually. So we just knew that it's a community that my wife would feel more connected to. My children who speak Hebrew also. We wanted to be a part of that. It's a beautiful community.
Yeah.
And that's specifically, and also I'm also a Queens native.
Yes.
I lived in Astoria, I lived in Forest Hill, I lived in Bayside, and that's a little bit more. So it was a little bit of a drive, 5 more minutes, and I was in Great Neck. So that's exactly the Eastern immigration that I'm doing.
So you just felt that it was the right area for you and your family to go to.
We lived in Forest Hills for a long time in Bayside, and we just felt that Great Neck would be the next best step for a family. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great, Daniel. When it does come to, especially like your work, now you're still working, you're still the owner of Imperial Moving and whatnot. Do you feel that that's going to help, obviously, in the race as far as like your experience there?
Either I'm running for Congress or I'm running a business. That's the way I say it. Okay. So I have I'm not really running the business. I'm kind of divested in a way, but I still own it.
Sure.
Of course. I don't. Maybe I could put my name on trucks. I don't know. But I don't think it'll help me that much because I really am focused more on the congressional issue, on the race more than anything.
Yeah. No, definitely. Are there other things that you hope to achieve once you do get in?
I want to fight the anti-Semitism. I know there was 3 main issues I started with. When I started my campaign in July, I did not believe that the world would turn upside down by October. I believe that we need to give Israel the support it needs in order to do its job and handle the Hamas situation, specifically Hamas. I believe that the moment they do that, it'll be better off for the Palestinians. And I believe that they understand that. Many of them understand because there are many Israeli Arabs within Israel. And that's what the world needs to understand, that we live peacefully with Arabs in Israel, working a whole variety of industries.
Yeah.
If it's in the construction, if it's in high tech, if whatever, they live with us. They're doctors, my dentist, everybody, and that's what we want in Israel to keep on going. We want a community in which we could live with the Arabs, and that's what we've been doing for many years. It's just that there is this organization governing Gaza called Hamas since 2006, and something needs to be done about it. So we need to give Israel the support it needs immediately. So that they could do what's right, and we could go back to normal.
It's a tough situation.
It is very much.
I mean, I think that all that we can hope for in this world is peace.
Right.
We may not always necessarily see the same vision.
Right.
But I think we can understand that we're all kind of trying to get to just live our best lives.
Right. And what's ironic is that they actually kidnapped people who lived on the border who are for peace, who are supporting Gaza and the Palestinians, and they actually kidnapped them and killed some of them and raped some of them. And it's just terrible. It's ironic. It's just, I mean, that's what we need to understand. Israelis want peace.
Sure. Well, and I think we all want peace.
Yeah.
Right. And especially for the community.
Yeah.
How can you bring about peace to the community?
In our community in New York?
Our community here. Yeah.
How do we bring back? We bring back peace by giving people the knowledge and tools so that they know really the facts.
Yeah.
Because if people know the facts, and you could say that, okay, I wouldn't govern Israel this way, or I don't like this policy, that's fine. Everybody could have their opinion.
Yeah.
And everybody's entitled to their opinion. And opinions, what makes us, that's give and take of opinions. and it's what makes America great. But you can't go to another level where it's about race and it's about wiping people out, any people out, or from the river to the sea, things like that. You can't. It's not. People understand what it means. Yeah. So we don't want to. We all want peace, and we all should have facts, and we should all be respectful and have a debate and allow for ideas. And so if I have this idea and you don't agree though with the government in Israel because I have this idea, it doesn't mean that we have to be disrespectful. So I think people should have a little bit more knowledge about what the issues are.
Yeah. Well, education.
Education.
Right? really putting it back to the people.
Right. Exactly.
And again, talking about putting people first.
Right. Exactly.
Which I think is most important.
Exactly.
And like you kind of said before, you're going to be about the community. You're going to be about the people. That's what I think government is.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. As far as, you mentioned this, you talked briefly a little bit about it before, Daniel. But why is it important to go out and vote?
Because if you want something to change, if you're not happy with your situation, anything it might be, the solution is go to vote. I mean, democracy is the best form of government, except for, that's the way it is. And we just need, that's why it's so important that people need to just really take responsibility for their situation. And if you're happy with something, still go and vote for the same person you had who was keeping you happy.
Sure.
If you're happy with the situation in terms of crime, you're happy in terms of economy, you're in terms of anything. I could disagree, you could disagree. And if you're happy, vote for the person who's in government so you can maintain that. Because if you don't, somebody else will come and change it.
Yep.
And I believe that works on the local level, on the state level, and the federal. That's why we have such a beautiful country. Because if you're also, that's another thing. If you're not happy with the situation, you can move. As a mover, I know that. So it's just that's why it's so important.
Yeah. No, definitely. Did you ever think that you'd get to this level of your career, I guess you could say?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I've always thought about it. Always knew it. I had a business, got married, had children. Always had it. I knew that at some point I told my wife many times, "There's no way I'm not going to run for Congress." Yeah. If the party needs it, of course.
If
we had an amazing candidate and everything was fine, then there's no need. Like, I'll just continue voting.
Yep.
But if something happens in which I felt like I need to be in a primary, or I felt I have a voice that should be heard, then I would run. And that's what happened in 2023 in the beginning, January.
Yep. Yeah. Great. Any last, words of advice to, or even just, things that you want to say?
We live in a beautiful country. We should appreciate the country we live in. And we shouldn't. And those people who say bad things about the country or bad things about our allies should really look at what they're saying, because you should be thanking God every day that you live that we're Americans and we live in where we live and we have the opportunities that we have, because it's not like that anywhere else in the world. Not in Europe, not in Israel, and not in anywhere. So we should be thankful every day. Like you said, your parents also immigrated. My parents immigrated. And it changes our destinies. Yeah. And the decisions we make dictate the lives we lead. And that's why it's so important that we vote.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, for the future, right? Not just for us, but for our children, our children's children.
Of course.
And for everybody else, which is so important. Yeah. So, awesome. Well, Daniel, listen, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure having you on. And, thanks for watching Access Spotlight.